Back in the day, it was easy for parents to send their kids off to boarding school for structure and
Right.
discipline. And I think a lot of parents recognize they get a lot of that through football with the right coaches and the right organization. And I think, a lot of them think to help, it helps. Single moms, single dads, whatever, just people that are struggling in those areas, football does help. Like you're saying, I had a great coach. We were talking about yesterday, Jay Franklin. He practically raised me and my brothers, a whole bunch of us, about 12 kids. And we just went back and surprised him at his house for a 30-year reunion. And man, we all sat and talked about that, as how much of an influence he was to us and how he challenged us and he never backed off. And I think I brought a lot of that philosophy of who I am today to this. And what I recognize is we're not here to be your best friend. We're here to love on you. We're going to be your buddy. But at the same time, we're going to challenge you, because that's what life does. Right. And that's the way he was with us. And I think I've done a great job of bringing that over, and it's been successful. It helps. So, again, these kids are hungry for it, and I don't run from it. I do go hard on them sometimes just to about do your job, but it's never personal and it's never an attack. I would never do that to a kid anyway.
Yeah. Well, let's be honest. Like, you got boys, I got boys. Our boys ain't listening to us. Like, they don't have
Yeah.
nothing I gotta say.
Charlie Brown's mom at that point.
Yeah, they're grown. They don't hear nothing I gotta say.
Yeah.
From the time they're 10 to the time they're, I'm, you know, done and gone. They don't want to hear nothing I gotta say. But for somebody else that pours into them and shows love to them, they'll listen to them. And
Yeah.
I've called coaches for my kids in the past that, hey man, would you just like, we're struggling with this at school, man. Would you just get into him and let him know that that's not going to fly, because they'll listen to that adult. They'll listen to that person. I've used coaches to help me parent, and I've had parents ask me to do the same,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I think there's something to that. And I think, one of the things we touched on yesterday is that, you and I are both out here with no babies playing. And I think that's huge. I think, guys come back to coach after their kids have aged out or even done with high school and in college, and mine are out of school, and I got a 19 and a 21-year-old, and I've been doing this since my 19-year-old aged out, so it's just,
Yeah.
I think that's really cool that when coaches come back and they don't have a kid on the team. I
Oh
think
man, yeah. And with that being said, shout out to your family, shout out to your wife, shout out to my wife Nancy, my kids. I have 5 kids, and they've allowed me to do this, and that's the truth. With respect, they've allowed me to do what
yeah,
it is that I do. I think they recognize that it's not just out there living through football, and they recognize, they see, when they picking kids up to go fishing, we're going to get them to help, do little things, and they become family. People, we all become family, because that's what we start with, is that foundation, family. So that's very crucial to have the support we need with our families when you're bringing that up. If you don't have that, I've heard a lot of people almost get divorced over it. I've heard
oh yeah,
a lot of people talk about, me and Clark out there. He's a coach right now in Burleson. Great kid, great dude, man. Younger gentleman. Me and him talk all the time about that, about how it can affect the families, man. And if you don't have the supporting
really.
cast around you, man, it'll cost you. So, to have that behind us and the strength of our women that we have, especially me and you doing, like you're saying, without a kid involved, they understand the true calling of what we're doing this for, and that's for a higher power, right? For a higher, bigger reason, not just ourselves. And they know it's our therapy, right? So
Yeah. I can't say enough great things about Sarah. She not only is okay with this, she encourages it. She knows it's good for for my demeanor and my peace. And because honestly, when I'm out there, it's therapy. That's the,
yeah.
2 hours
What are
and
you
not
telling?
turn it off. And I don't have to think about anything other than, X's and O's and a little discipline. And I don't have to answer my phone. I don't have to worry about work. I don't have to worry about my kids. And so for me, football is therapy. And the last couple of years I've been, volunteering at Avila Christian. And so that now that goes from, being on the field for 2 hours a night to being on the field for 5 hours a night.
Yeah.
And let
Yeah.
me tell you, I'm exhausted physically when I come off the field after, a 10U, 12U practice, but mentally I'm so much in a better place when I get off
Yeah.
the field and I come
Big
home and
time.
eat a shower, and I'm like, man, just so it's therapy for me too. I don't know about
Yeah.
you, but like,
No,
for
absolutely. Absolutely,
I think
man. I
that's
mean,
something. I
you got
think
a lot
that's
of
something.
dads you got a lot of people that'll say, they're going to stop by the bar and have a drink. You got people saying, I'm going to go golf all day. You got people that are going to, guys going to go do different things at their crutch. And for me, mine's the football field. And again, thank God we have the supporting cast behind us to support us with that. Right.